Hello everybody, this is hashtag Ask Lauren, Valentine's edition. So a fair warning, we are talking about sex and relationships and I'm not gonna censor myself. So if you are a parent or a young child, viewer discretion is advised, or anybody who doesn't like to hear about sexy things, or if you're my parents or John's mom, I would suggest you don't watch this episode. So I got a lot of questions from you guys on YouTube and all regarding sex and relationships, and you guys did not hold back, so thank you. And because it is the day of love coming up on Sunday, Valentine's Day, whether you're celebrating Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day, which is apparently a thing now, or Alone-tine's Day, that's not a thing. I will be alone maybe, or maybe I'll be hanging out with my friend Nat and her son. I'm not really sure, but John is definitely not here. I was hoping he could do this Q&A with me because we are probably going to refer to a lot of personal things, but he's not here. He's away for work, so I got a lot of questions. This is going to be a long episode. I'm going to try and get through most of them. So, you know, go get a snack. Go get some popcorn or something. Get a drink. I should actually be drinking, but I have no alcohol here. So anyway, let's get started here. Jennifer Garcia asked, what are your favorite lingerie brands? Well, Jennifer, I don't really have any lingerie. I sort of stopped wearing underwire bras basically after I finished working in television. I guess I thought I didn't need to amplify my chest as much as I thought I did on TV. Plus, it's so damn uncomfortable. I usually just bought bras from La Senza, nothing special. You know what I hate? I hate all the underwear and all the stuff that's like bright colors with like words on them. I just like black. And then lingerie, like, I don't know. I have like one thing that I got at Agent Provocateur, but that's because they actually gave me a free fitting and like gave me free lingerie. And it's kind of hot. It's still black and lacy and whatnot. You can actually see it, the bra part, in a video from a long time ago if you go sleuthing on my channel. John likes lingerie, but I don't really have anything, and it's always like, yeah, I'm gonna put on the lingerie, and then, you know, I eat too much and I don't feel like putting it on. I don't like it. It's annoying, and it comes off anyway, so what is the point? Callie Barton, sex before marriage, and would you date someone who wanted to wait even if that meant years before you got married? No, I wouldn't date someone who wanted to wait because I don't believe in that, and I wouldn't want to wait, and I wouldn't be able to do it because, again, if you watched my whole thing on marriage and kids, I don't really think I want to get married, so then it would never happen, and then you would basically just be roommates. So yeah, I believe in sex before marriage, but I'm not religious, so I don't know how that affects anybody who is religious or whose parents are really adamant that they don't have sex before marriage. And then you hear all those weird stories about people doing everything else but having intercourse before marriage, and it's like, that doesn't count. You have had sex. Like, whether it's in the mouth or in the butt or anything else, I would still say that that's sex. I don't know why people delude themselves into thinking they're virgins when they haven't had like normal intercourse. Because if gay people have sex in the butt, that doesn't make them virgins. So it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I don't mean to offend anybody. You can have your own beliefs, but I'm just saying this is what I think. Okay, this is interesting. Miss Pachico Speaks says, as a female vegan, is it wrong to feel like I cannot be sexually involved with a man who's not vegan? I mean, I find it gross to even kiss a man who likes to eat pork, even though they are nice people. Am I being discriminating? Probably you're being discriminating. Discrimination is treatment or consideration of or making a distinction in favor of or against a person or thing based on the group, class, or category to which that person or thing is perceived to belong to, rather than on individual merit. Yeah, so I guess you're discriminating because you're saying because he belongs to the group of people who eat meat, he's not worthy of your attention. I think you just make your own call. If you were really adamant about wanting to kiss and date only people who are vegan, then be my guest. Because as much as we all say we're open and this and that, a lot of people have also racial preferences and other things. And it's not to say that they're racist, but they might just have this preference within them. And as long as they're not obviously being outwardly mean to people, I don't think it matters if you have your preferences and tastes for looks, skin color, body type, whatever. But you should still keep an open mind. But I understand that people have these preferences, and so whatever, just have your preferences and just don't be rude to people who aren't you know, falling into whatever category you've limited yourself to. I mean, at the end of the day, you're limiting yourself, but that's fine because we all do it. So to each their own. Anyway, I didn't really want to get into like vegan politics in this sex and relationships Q&A, but it came up, so there we go. George MC. Have you or would you ever use coconut whip cream during sexy time? Do you know of any brand of flavored vegan condoms? So George and all the vegans out there, I happen to have this in my fridge because I used it in the Valentine's Day recipe, which you can go find on hofferfoodblog.com. It's a chocolate hazelnut tart with coconut whip. And you can make your own coconut whip for sure. However, this brand you can find in every grocery store, and it's real coconut whipped cream, totally vegan. Okay? And it comes in this awesome can. It's so good. I'm not really one for bringing food into the bed because I think it's messy and I'm a real neat freak. And I'll just be like completely neurotic being like, oh, don't get it on the sheets, and like, oh, it's sticky. And I really don't have any interest really in putting this on any place of my body other than in my mouth. Perhaps because I will be alone on Sunday, I'll just sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix and squirt this into my mouth, which is also a hot thought in and of itself. But anyway, if you're looking for whipped cream on Valentine's Day to do whatever you would like with it, then go find this. Actually, sorry, this is a Canadian brand. There's some weird rice whip in a can in the US in certain health food stores that you can find, but it's not as tasty as this. There's also So Delicious, like it's almost like Cool Whip in like the tub that you put in the freezer. So there's that, which you can get all over North America, probably in other places as well. So anyway, coconut whip for y'all. Oh, flavored condoms. I have no idea. What is the point of a flavored condom? Are you putting it in your mouth? Because, I mean, I guess you're supposed to protect your mouth too, but I just have never done that. Okay, Corey Kirker. I've been dating a guy for about a month and a half. Oh, I appreciate everybody being so candid and public here. So Corey's been dating a guy for about a month and a half. He's older than me. I'm 22 and he is 30. My issue is he barely wants to have sex. How should I approach this? Because it's starting to make me feel insecure about my body and have thoughts about why he doesn't want to have sex. Okay, I'm not a sex relationship therapist. This is just my thoughts. Okay, first of all, I don't know. He's 30, which means he should be in prime time, sexy time in terms of his like, you know, biology and like his timeline, 30-year-old men. And basically doesn't even matter. Don't men just want to have sex all the time? And if they don't, then perhaps either there's, I mean, this is just my guesses. Does he have erectile dysfunction? Does he come too quickly? Does he, you know, all these things that might make him insecure about having sex, so maybe he just avoids it. That being said, are there other emotional stresses going on in his life, like work or family or a death or something that is like blocking him from wanting to do that stuff? I think at the end of the day, you have to have a candid conversation with him and ask him. Don't just play it all like it's cool and not say anything. Like the first gateway to sex or anything relationships is talking. So if you don't talk about it, you're never gonna get down to the issue. So you better talk to him about it and just ask like, you know, this is making me feel insecure. Why don't you want to have sex with me? Is it me? Is it you? What's going on? And don't do it in like a fighty, defensive way. Just do it nicely. And if he doesn't give you any information, as men often don't, you have to keep prying a little bit, or maybe you just need to initiate. Now, I know that's hard for a lot of people, but if you really want something, then you should initiate the action to get it, I think. Maybe he's looking to you to do that. Sometimes, you know, there's power shifting happening in a relationship all the time, especially at the beginning when you're trying to suss each other out and you've only been dating for about a month and a half, 2 months, which is pretty new. So you might as well clear up any issues now before you get way too into it and it just becomes a bigger issue, right? You should just deal with it now. So I hope that helps. And also, this isn't to scare you or to be rude, but my thought, this is what I would think, obviously because I'm an insanely jealous person, is I would wonder, well, if you're not having sex with me, who are you having sex with? And are you cheating? Now, I wouldn't run over and yell at the person and say that, but that thought would cross my mind, in which that's why I would want to have a conversation to get a better sense of where this person is coming from and where they're at in their life, to make sure that I'm not getting fucked around. We got to look out for ourselves. And if someone's dicking you around, ain't nobody got time for that. So as much as you might like somebody, if they are not treating you with respect, see you later. Okay, so that's not to scare you. I'm just saying those are all the options that I have weighed in this situation that I would weigh if I was in the same situation. So that's what I think. I realized that my camera was focusing all the way down here, so I might have looked a little bit blurry, but anyway, I fixed that. Helen LeMay said, did you/anyone notice a change in your sex drive when switching to vegan? Since becoming vegan 2 years ago, I feel like I've lost my sex drive, especially since this fall. I feel a lot more respectful towards my body and wouldn't want to have a one-night stand. I sometimes feel like I am asexual. Any thoughts? Well, that's a whole lot of stuff going on there. If anything, your sex drive should be more equaled and you know, regular and normal, because eating vegan makes your body like run more efficiently. And often the complaint is people who have low sex drive because they eat a lot of dairy and meat and they feel sluggish and they have no energy. So if anything, you should be feeling more vibrant and sexy, which you do. You said you've learned to have more respect towards your body. I'm sure you are more body accepting at this point being vegan. So maybe you're not eating the right foods. Maybe you're lacking something. Maybe that requires a blood test or something to go see if something is low. Iron, B12, I don't know. So I haven't noticed that myself personally. And if you don't want to have a one-night stand, don't. Lots of people don't. I don't think it matters. I think that you should just, you know, wait and wait, you know, seek somebody who actually wants to have a proper relationship with you if that's what you want. As far as asexual goes, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak to that, although that's a thing. So maybe you are, maybe you just haven't met the right person to like really spark that light inside of you to get you excited about relationships and sex and stuff. So there could be a number of things going on, but only you know the answer, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, you only know the answer. I can't give you this answer, but perhaps there's just some emotional thing going on that you need to sit and meditate on. You know, set up a nice little thing like this and just ask the question to the universe and maybe you'll get an answer. Ross Rokeson said, I would love to know what is your opinion about people that are having sex without being together. I feel like I'm the only person of my surroundings in my friend circle that doesn't see it as a bad thing. Okay, so she's basically saying people just having casual sex. I am not a casual sex you know, person. I prefer to have sex with people that I actually have some rapport and relationship with. In the past, I've had sex with people that I knew, but I wasn't going to have a relationship with them, but I knew them. They weren't just like rando strangers that I met at the club. I also don't agree with that because it just feels weird. Like I don't, people do it all the time and that's fine if that's what they're into, but I personally don't feel comfortable. I feel like a prostitute. I feel like I've been used. You know, you wake up the next morning regretting it because you're like, well, that wasn't even that good. I don't even like this person. I don't want to have a friendship with them. Why did I just do that to like fulfill some kind of physical thing that really wasn't that good in the first place? Anyway, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, and you shouldn't feel pressured into having sex with people because other people are doing it or because some person makes you feel like you're supposed to do it. Never should you be pressured into doing that. We're getting a little serious here, but honestly, like, I think people are having sex that they don't want to be having sex a lot of the time. I think women and men feel this pressure to somehow, you know, have a bunch of notches, you know, drilled on their belt and have a bunch of people like, oh, I've slept with more than 10 people or whatever. And I think it's so stupid. Like, who even cares? And also, STDs, people, those are like, that's like the worst thing ever. It's so unsafe. And like everybody has HPV and like so many people have herpes and it's so gross. And I'm sorry if you have that and I just said it's gross, but really like promiscuity isn't worth it. You have this whole life to lead. Why would you want to risk getting something and then having to deal with that for the rest of your life? And it would be so awkward having to like deal with it with other partners forever. And it's just tough. And so yes, I'm speaking because I don't have these things and I don't have this experience. I'm judging it, but like really like, before you act, just like think about it for a second. It's not worth it. Like never is sex so good that it's worth getting a disease or hurting somebody's feelings or crossing the line, or it's never worth it. It's so temporary. It's so fleeting, sex. Like, I don't get it. I don't know why. I honestly don't understand the importance that we place on sex as a society. I think it's overrated. Well, I just got into it there. I mean, some people want me to like get raunchy and ask these questions about the freakiest thing I've ever done. I'm like pretty straight and narrow, people. I'm like not crazy. I don't have crazy ideas that I need to execute in the bedroom. It's just pretty standard. And I'm fine with that. And I have no desire to up the ante or try everything and everything under the sun. I don't understand. Sometimes I think people are like that because they are bored, but if you have desires, I don't want to make you feel bad for them. You should definitely find people that you can do those things with that make you feel comfortable. But me, myself, I am just pretty regular when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm not going to tell you the freakiest thing I've ever done because I'm not going to get that personal, even though it's not even that freaky. I'm just not going to talk about it because it involves other people. That's all. I mean, I said I wasn't going to hold back, but in this case, I'm not going to tell you explicit experiences that I've had because I don't think it really matters. But just know that I am mostly a prude and don't have all these wild and crazy tendencies. Jane M says, how do you get over an ex? The 3-year relationship ended a 1.5 years ago. I need help. Yeah, it fucking sucks. I would say I still think about past relationships. They still affect the current relationship I'm in. It doesn't mean that I want to be with those other people. It just means that there was so much going on and so much connection and so much built up emotion that's really hard to let go of that stuff. And it's just a day-to-day thing. Honestly, I know I say this all the time, but meditation really helps with letting things go and healing emotional wounds and focusing in on yourself and who you are and your breathing and your body. And by doing that and focusing on you, you allow and you cut the cord with these other people. Also, books help. Like if you read, I'll link below the books that I recommend because they do have to do with love and letting go. A lot of the ones I read by Marianne Williamson are about that, and I really suggest reading Enchanted Love or A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, or both, because they really help with understanding love, true love, your place in the world, the spiritual partnership that happens in a relationship, and how to let that go when it doesn't work out. So it's tough. I'm with you. I totally get it. You can't put a timeline on how long it's going to take for you to let go of that thing. And I think the reality is you'll always be affected by that person. Do you want to let it rule your life and affect all your other relationships? No. So that's the letting go you need to work on. But know that I'm someone who deals with a lot of guilt surrounding past relationships. And that's really hard for me to cut and extinguish. But it doesn't help me and doesn't help the person I'm with now to be guilty about how I treated somebody else. So you have to just work on it day by day, and it will get better. Like, it will go away. When it first happens, like, I remember it took me over 1.5 years to get over the last person I was with. And like I said, it still creeps in a lot. And I thought at the time, oh my God, like, I'm never gonna meet anybody. Like, that was it. What am I doing? And why did I fuck it up? And blah, blah, blah. And like, obviously everything's fine. And I found somebody even better. So you just have to have hope and know that like the reason that it ended just wasn't meant to be, and you weren't right for each other at the time. And it just wasn't working, and that there's better things. You want other things that you weren't getting satisfied in that relationship, and you can ask for the things that you really want, and they will come to you. They really will if you focus on them. Which brings me to this next question. Aiko Karita said, how did you manifesting finding the one? In the other video, you mentioned you manifested to be with John. After I watched your great videos, I read Mike Dooley's Infinite Possibilities, and it indicates that if you aim to discover true love with a specific person, don't visualize that person, visualize true love and all the consequences you think it will have on your life. I was wondering how you did manifest John. I've been watching your videos, and you are my inspiration. Love from Japan. Okay. You already got it. I mean, you read the book. That's exactly it. You don't focus on, let's say you're like obsessed with the guy at work. Like you're like obsessed with this guy, and it's so specific, and you've built him up and you've put him on a pedestal, and you're like, oh God, I just love him. I have a huge crush on him. He's perfect, blah, blah, blah. First of all, know that he's not perfect, and that you are like idealizing this person, and that you can't focus on manifesting that guy at work, that you have to focus on the feelings. So the feeling, you want to feel loved, you want to feel connected, you want to feel in union with somebody, you want to feel all the great things you want to feel. Focus and meditate on those things. Write a list of all of those feelings you would like to feel and all of the qualities you would like the other person to have. Not just laundry list things like he has to have a car and these, you can write those things, but also focus in on the bigger picture aspects like feelings. It sounds like you already understand it, Aiko, and that's exactly what I did. Is I is I really had to heal the past relationship and understand that I wasn't getting what I truly wanted out of that, even though this person was amazing and they never did anything wrong. They just weren't, for whatever reason, it just wasn't the right situation, and I knew that. I did write things like, you know, I want them to have their own business, which John does, because to me, I get a sense of, I think that somebody who runs their own business is confident and is a leader and is type A and is all these things, and those are the qualities that go along with that. What else did I say? I guess I could read the list for you. It's actually in an old journal. But it wasn't John. John was not who I pictured. When I first met John, if you watch the How I Met story, and maybe I've said this in another video, looks-wise and demeanor-wise, I thought, who's this? Like, this is not who I thought it would be. But there's something about me that knew that it was that person, and the more I got to know him, I was like, whoa, this is all these aspects that I wrote down on this list are things that I wanted. So really be specific. At the same time, be so specific, but not specific like he should have brown hair and blue eyes. Like, I don't think you could be that specific, but also really focus in on the bigger aspects and the feelings. And it's not really until you let all of that go that it really manifests, right? If you are holding on to those qualities and staring at that list and being desperate and kind of needy for that thing, it won't come. You need to just trust that you've asked for it and that it will come, and let it go. That's the key in having it come into this physical realm right here and now. Someone I know wrote a whole list. Great list. The person came, but the relationship didn't pan out because ultimately there was a lack of love in the relationship, and the person didn't really truly love her. He matched all of these qualities and all these things like job and home and investments, and I don't know what all the specifics were, but all of that stuff that we tend to focus on like it's important. And what she forgot to write on the list is that she would be in love with the person. So the person manifested. And she was like, oh, great, he's got all of these things, but I'm not in love with him. So write that down. We are deeply in love and we have a connected spiritual relationship. Write that down. Otherwise, that will be missing. And that's actually the main thing. That should be your number one quality, is that there's a deep connection, that you're deeply in love with each other, that you both respect each other. Those should be the qualities you start with. She didn't actually love the guy. She was trying to make something work because he matched all these other superficial qualities, but she was missing the main thing. Okay, this one is a hilarious question that a lot of people ask, and I myself have wondered what other people thought. Jonathan said, this is a little on the detailed, crass side, but do you consider semen vegan? Okay, now, why would we not consider semen vegan? Because it comes from a human. So if anything, it would be what? Cannibalism. I was having this discussion with Candice from the Edgy Veg the other day when we were having a drink, because I told her I was going to answer this question. So it's kind of like cannibalism. At the same time, it's like saying, well, what is women feeding their babies breast milk? Like every other species on the planet milks their babies, and that's not considered no one's against a species feeding their own child their own breast milk. What we are against is there's no reason why I would need to eat, you know, baby cow growth liquid, which is milk. I need baby human growth liquid up to a certain point. So the choice of whether or not you want to swallow the semen is entirely up to you. I myself do, because it's a little awkward to just like go and spit it out. It's not something I want to ingest, but I do it anyway. So is it vegan? I don't know, and I don't care, because there's really no getting around it. Okay, Corey McConnell said, I've heard your body taste changes when you are vegan. Is this true? What are your thoughts? Okay, I don't know if it's scientifically true, but anecdotally I've heard yes, that a man who eats meat and dairy has a different taste than men who don't. I have no idea, and nor have I paid that close attention to know if that is true. It's all disgusting, if you ask me. And as far as women go, I have no idea. You have to ask someone who's done that and maybe done a proper test comparison. Now, I've heard also if you eat a lot of pineapple, then that helps the taste of both men and women. Again, never done an experiment. So if you're that curious, I suggest you run your own science experiment in your own home. Solange Verbal, have you ever been with a girl and did you like it? No, I have not been with a girl. And for the record, I don't want to be. It's not something I think about. I love men, I love women, but I only want to sleep with men is really the answer to that. So in case you were curious. But I have these conversations all the time with people because I meet a lot of people who are very open to the idea of both. And I respect that. I just don't see that happening in my life. Fionn Kwan said, in your recent video, you mentioned John's younger than you. I too am in a relationship where I'm older than my boyfriend. It took me a while to get used to it and I wasn't necessarily comfortable. What are your thoughts on being older than your man? So when I met John, he was 24, I think, or 25. And I'm 6 years older than John. And I was like, oh, this is never gonna work. I expected him to be immature and to fuck up because of his age, and he didn't. And at every turn, I was looking to blame something on the fact that he's younger than me. Until I realized, Jesus, Lauren, just let it go. It's not a big deal, this age thing. Stop acting like you're better than somebody because you're older than them, which I think is really the unconscious issue that was harbored inside of me. So it's fine. I don't really think about it. Sometimes I think about it because I think about, oh my God, when I'm 40, you're going to be 32. And as you start looking at that age gap, you start realizing, oh, we could be in different life stages. But again, I'm just manufacturing things that haven't even happened yet. And I'm almost creating a problem that doesn't exist. Check yourself before you wreck yourself is what I'm saying, because that's kind of my problem. So anyway, there is no issue with John being younger. He's far more mature than me, actually, when it comes to relationships. And he runs his own business. He's very mature. He is sort of, within his soul, a lot older than his actual number age, and doing a lot, more things than a lot of people his age who are that young. It's totally fine. I think it doesn't really matter what age you are. I'm not going to talk about like a 20-year age gap. That's a whole other story, I think, because then you got to wonder why somebody is with somebody who's totally out of their age range, but love is love and you can't judge it, right? So I would say, anyways, I guess it sounds like, Fionn, you're okay with it now, and I think you should be okay with it, and just listen to my advice about making sure that you're not causing an issue that really isn't there. Okay, this is interesting. Alicia Moore, how many times a month do you think it is healthy to have sex? Well, I mean, it's up to you. Are you someone who wants to do it 2 times a day, every day? Cool, ain't nobody got time for that though. Unless it's your profession. I don't know there's no normal answer to that, or healthy. I think it's up to what the two of you want. I think that if you're having a problem scheduling it in, and I only know this from actually talking to sex therapists, because I did this like sex talk show last year around this time with a brand for 2 weeks, and I talked to all these people that make pornography and this sex therapist, Dr. Jess, and I asked them a ton of questions, and it was a really interesting thing to be part of because I learned so much. And I agree with what they had to say about that, which is you just need to schedule it in. Like, I know everyone wants it to be romantic and they want someone to like whisk them away and like have it be spontaneous, but we just think that bullshit because of the movies. Life is busy and there's a lot of shit going on, and sex is low on the priority list for a lot of people. I would say probably more women than men. It's really low on my priority list. So you have to schedule it in and just be open about, let's have sex now. Look, we need to have sex. It's like it needs to just be looked at almost like another task sometimes. And I think by forcing that and doing that, it will start to become more natural because you'll want it more. But I think when you go for long periods of time where you're just all wrapped up in your own shit and working and stuff, you just forget about it. And then you think it's normal to just not be having it that much when maybe you should be, because it brings you closer together or whatever. So you really have to look at it in your own situation. But I myself am all for just like trying to be like open and not romantic about it, and just be like, okay, let's do it now. Or like the doctor just said, if you're having a hard time like wanting to get into it, like just force yourself to do it. Because you know how like when you do it, then you want to do it more. So you just have to force it at the beginning. If you've gotten into a rut where you're just like, oh, I'm too tired, oh, I'd rather eat ice cream, oh, I'd rather watch this TV show, you just gotta go, no. If I just force myself to do it right now, and I'm talking about people who are in like a relationship where it gets real, stale after a while, first just force it to happen, and then you'll want it more. That's just kind of the automatic reaction of your body. And I'm talking about, you know, agreeing to that with the two of you, not like forcing yourself on the other person. That's a whole other issue. Nicole, any tips to keep things interesting for people who have been together for a long time? I think I just answered that, like this kind of thing of like, I know it's not romantic to schedule it in, but you really need to make a lot of effort, I would guess. Even John and I have only been together for not even 3 years, and we find it difficult to find the time because we're always working. I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about like hanging out and doing something different. Like not just, oh, let's watch TV and eat dinner. That's friggin' what I want to do because I'm so tired because I work so much, and so does he. But then you have to make this extra effort to like, you know, put a little bit of thought and creativity into it. I think it's just like going off your routine, like really trying to stray away from like, what do you usually do something a little different, you know? And I know we all want our partner sometimes to like take the initiative and come up with the idea themselves. Like I'm guilty of just being like, well, why doesn't he know what I want? Just no, they don't friggin' know anything. Just tell them. You just have to have an open dialogue. Like I think that's where you run into problems, is when you start to have these expectations, and it's like, rather than expecting someone to know and to read your mind, you just have to flat out say it. And I'm not perfect at this. I'm like so bad with this, but I'm just letting you know this is the kind of thing I'm working on too. I'm pretty like open and I have no problem saying anything, but sometimes you have this feeling of, well, I wish he just knew what I liked, or I wish he just would surprise me, even though I often say I don't even like surprises. So then why would John surprise me? I've said this entire time I hate surprises, and then I like want, it's like we're so stupid sometimes, women. We're just so like abstract in our thinking, and it's fine, but like there's a definite like difference in the way men and women think, like if we're talking about men and women anyways, just in how we think. So you just have to have open communication. So if you're feeling like it's been a long time and things are stale, then you need to have a conversation and not just try to send out like beam signals into their brain to like get them to figure it out. Like you need to really be direct, I think. How important is sex in a relationship? Esther Cosma. Well, okay, I mean, I've addressed how I don't put a lot of importance on it, but it's important. I mean, I don't think that well, I mean, if you don't, I don't know. It's like whatever works for you. If you've become a couple where sex really isn't that important, but you do other great things, cool. But I think at the end of the day, it's a very like instinctual, biological thing. And if there are emotional blocks, then you've probably blocked the physical side of things, making you disinterested. But I think it's an important thing. I think it's good. It's important to be sexually compatible. It's important to be attracted to each other. It's important to like, you know, keep that alive and be connected in that way. So it is important. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I tend to get into a pattern of not placing importance on it. And I find myself really defaulting to that state of mind, which I actually don't think is good. I actually think I need to make a better effort to not do that. Yeah, lastly, what's your idea of a romantic evening? From Jennifer again. Well, romance. I've always been somebody who's like, romance, well, that's stupid. Like I don't want flowers, I don't, you know, that kind of stuff I don't really care about that. I'm trying to think like what has been a romantic evening. Like once when John and I were dating, like I remember he picked me up from the airport. I was in Vancouver. So he hadn't even been living with me yet, but he had my keys and was staying at my condo before I got home from this trip. So he picked me up from the airport. When I walked in, you know, there was dim lighting, there was a couple candles set, dinner was ready to go, and the whole apartment was clean. And I literally melted. I was like, oh my God, you cleaned the condo. To me, that is the biggest gesture. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about love languages, like the 5 love languages. You know, acts of service, words, physical or quality time, physical touch, and there's a 5th one, I forget what it is. But anyway, all of us have a love language that we speak to others and that we want spoken back to us. So you might be somebody who really, words are important. You need somebody to be like, I love you, I need you, or maybe you're a quality time person and you really need somebody to like schedule in quality time for you, otherwise you feel rejected. Well, mine, I think, we can have multiple love languages, but I think my main one is acts of service. Like how I show people I love them is I do things for them. Me cleaning the dishes or me making the bed or me like going to get you something is, oh yeah, that's the other fifth language, is gifts. But I'm not a gift person. I'm an act of service. So I show my love by making you dinner, by cleaning the house, by doing these things. It's kind of the word, like the lamest one, but that's what I do. And so when John had cleaned my condo and I walked out on the balcony and he had bought me a patio set and like set up my balcony, which I had neglected the whole time I lived there because I was like, I don't really care and I don't want to clean it. He cleaned the whole balcony, like he cleaned all the windows and the dust off, and he put up this balcony set and he had a little lantern out there, and I friggin' died because I was like, this is the biggest act of service. This shows me that you really care and love me and that you know what's important to me. And I couldn't believe it. So that doesn't sound that romantic, although it was pretty romantic outside. He had a candle and he had made dinner. So that's all I want. I just want you to like, that's why I get so annoyed when like, you know, someone leaves dishes unclean for a day or doesn't like rinse out a cup that has a wine stain in it, like the dumbest stuff. But it drives me crazy because I know that stuff doesn't matter, but that's, I think, where this act of service love language comes in, is I just want somebody to know that it's important to me that like your socks aren't on the ground, or that your laundry's not lying all over the place, or that you rinsed off the dishes. Like, it just, I know it doesn't even sound like, well, that doesn't mean I don't love you, but to me, in my deepest of soul and in my brain, it does mean that. And, you know, I keep a clean house and I make myself look presentable and all of these things because I'm an active service person. And by doing that, I'm showing you that I care for you and love you. So it's interesting. You might want to look into that book, The 5 Love Languages, and read about that if you're a little confused as to the differences you have with your partner, because we need to, I haven't read the book. I've just read about the love languages and talked to a lot of people about this book. But yeah, how to express heartfelt commitment to your mate. It's just about understanding where they're coming from. It's trying to get that understanding of what each of you are trying to say to each other. So that's kind of my idea of a romantic evening, is just clean the damn house and make it look nice and make me dinner. So that's it, people. Thanks for listening. I think we're past 30 minutes here, but loved doing this. Hope you got some information out of this. Hope I didn't offend you, and thanks for asking so many great questions, and I wish you a happy love day on Sunday. No matter whether you have a partner or not, just love yourself, love your life, love what's going on, because it's really awesome and magical. And Valentine's Day at the end of the day is overrated, and who gives a crap, and don't buy into the commercial side of it. And that's my final words on that kind of stuff. So I'll see you guys Monday. Thanks for listening. Peace.